I want to show you how quickly and easily you'll be able to create your own guitar charts from scratch using guitarcharts.com. So if we open up the website, you'll be presented with this home screen. So if you click on Create Scale Charts, you open up this window. And the first line to look at is this one here. You can see that there are 12 checkboxes, and these correspond to the 12 notes in the chromatic scale. So if I hit one of those notes, you can see it's filled out in the chart. So as I open up more of them, add more notes, you can see the charts fill up until I've got the entire chromatic scale. And below that you can see I've got color codes for each of these notes as well. Currently only the root note is coloured, which is the black notes on here. And if I made that white, you'd see it knows that there's no difference between any of those charts, so it just draws the one useful chart from that. So if I turn that black again and uncheck some of these to get us back to the major scale. The other thing you can do here is, as you're learning these charts, it's useful to know where other note functions are, like where is the third, for example. So I could just highlight that, and you can see across the charts where all the thirds are in each one of these scale shapes. Below that you can see there's a layout box, and at the moment it's set to automatically arrange the notes. So what it's doing is it's taking different slices across the neck and finding out guitar shapes, note shapes that match where the nearest notes are close to a fret. That's kind of what it's doing. But I can just choose 3 notes per string, for example, and it will lay everything out as 3 notes per string, or 4 notes per string if you've got a big stretch, if you want to play around with these kind of scales. And you've got other layouts as well which are useful for arpeggios and things like that. So that's something to play around with. But if I drop it back to automatically arranging the notes, the other thing you can see right at the top here is the guitar setup. So currently it's set up to a standard 6-string guitar tuned to normal tuning. But if I click on that, you can see I've got a bass guitar. So 4-string bass or 5-string bass, yeah. 6-string guitar or 7-string guitar. So you can see how you can use this to create different charts depending on the kind of instrument you have. And also it has different tunings as well. So an all-fifths tuning, which is another big handful if you want to play around with that. Or all-fourths, I see that appearing a lot online as well, people playing with that. And you see how symmetric it is, which is why people like to use it. Or even open tuning. So if you want to know how to play the major scale in open D, well, this will draw the charts out for you. So this is the basic creation screen. Once you've got your chart created, the next thing you can do is you can refine it. So if we move on to that, when you get here, you can see you can put a chart name in just there. So I could just say major scale. There we go, and if I hit preview, you can see there's the title that's appearing just there. And then there's a line of commentary, or some commentary you can put in here. It uses Markdown. Markdown is a way of putting things like bold and italics and things like that. And there's a guide if you've never used Markdown before. You click on that, it'll open it up and show you how to create hyperlinks, how to do paragraphs and things like that. So that's something to play with. But the interesting thing in this screen really is what goes on with each of these shapes. Now down the side here you can see there's a plus or minus button, and this lets me add notes. So basically the way to use this is to start from the low strings and work your way up. So if I wanted to turn this into a 3 notes per string scale shape, I can see on the G string there are only 2 notes. So if I click plus, it's taken the note from the string above and put it there. I can do the same there, and I can do the same there, and actually I can keep adding notes as well to really sort of stretch these charts out if that's what I wanted to do. And I can do the same on the next set as well. So here, if I build these out into 3 notes per string, and the next one, So you can see now I've done that, I've actually created a repeated shape, and there's no reason for me to draw out the repeated shape, so I can just delete one. Okay, and so that's really how you use this screen. The screen is for refining the shapes, deciding which ones are important to you, and deleting the ones that aren't. And if you have a shape like this, for example, maybe you want to do something, you want to do two versions of the shape, you can duplicate it. So now I've created two versions of it, and on the second one I can start to tweak it even more. Yeah, or I can delete it. And next to that we've got the preview menu, so you can see what these things look like, and you can flip between the refine scale and the preview menu. You can do things like change the size of the charts, so you can pack more onto a page. And then the final menu here is the publish menu. And the nice thing about this is it renders that the whole chart and the page in its own web browser window. As you can see, it's opened up a new browser window, and the URL includes all of the information needed to draw this chart. So if you bookmark this, you'll be able to come back to this specific chart. And if you click on one of the scale shapes, you can drop back in and edit it again. Okay. Now that's creating a scale from scratch using the Create Scale charts, and if you know your scale degrees. The other way to do this is to go to the library, and in the library I've got a growing list of different scales, and I'll be adding to this over time as well. So you could choose to just start with one of these. So if I open the blues scale, for example, you can see the layout for the standard pentatonic blues scale. And if I click on one of these, again it takes me into this refine scale menu, or I can go back to the create charts menu, and here you can see the blues scale laid out. So this is something I actually used recently. One of the local theatre companies wanted me to do some sort of ambient slide guitar, and so I wanted to play something really nice and sparse and bluesy. So I went here, I set my guitar up to be open D, and this gave me all of the blues scale in open D. I just highlighted where that blues note is, so I wouldn't forget about it. And then I refined the scales just like I did before, and I found, the nice thing, or the way to use this refine menu actually for me, is to sit down with my guitar and play through the shapes and see which notes work and which notes don't, which shapes work and which shapes don't, and you just modify them while you're playing through them until you find a set of shapes that really work for you, and then those are the ones that you save. So that's it.